Welcome, I'm Jackson Bell.
And I'm Tamara Bell.
And you're listening to our podcast, Talking Movies with My Mom, where talk about movies with my mom. And just so you know, there will be spoilers. There are movies we love, there are movies we hate, and then there are movies we hate to admit we love. These are our guilty pleasures. Take it away, Mom.
Okay, so my guilty pleasure is a movie called Dante's Peak. It premiered on February 7th, 1997 in theaters. It was directed by Roger Donaldson and written by Leslie Bohem. It stars Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton. Fun fact, the director was studying to be a geologist before deciding to go into films. So he actually rewrote parts of the script to make sure all the volcano facts were correct. Like he actually brought in experts like geologists, seismologists, volcanologists to make sure that everything was grounded in reality. And I got to say, I didn't realize this until I watched, we actually have this movie on DVD. And so that's how much of a guilty pleasure it is for me.
Yeah, she actually bought the DVD of it because she loved it so much.
On the DVD, it has one of those making of Dante's Peak kind of, little vignettes.
I miss those.
Right, I do too. I mean, and it was in that voice, right? I mean, it was like Dante's Peak, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm strapping in because this is going to be exciting. And it went on for this was like 45 minutes. I thought it would be a quick little, because now if there's any like behind the scenes or anything like that, it's over in like 10 minutes, right? Because they're like, okay, we got other things that we want to include. This one went on for like 45 minutes. I think it was almost an hour. And I'm like, oh my God.
That's like almost Lord of the Rings long, of like the special effects features on that movie.
Right? And so he went in depth talking about how he really wanted to make sure that this movie was grounded in reality. He wanted it to be real as it could possibly get. And quite frankly, you know what? Maybe this is my professor side speaking, but I'm all in for movies where you can learn something.
I don't want to learn.
Too bad, because you're going to learn about volcanoes when you're watching Dante's Peak. Now, it received mostly negative reviews compared to another volcano movie that came out in 1997, which was Volcano. So, I mean, I guess they didn't have...
A very creative name, by the way.
Right. A movie about a volcano that's going to erupt in downtown LA. Let's just call it Volcano.
Short and simple, gets right to the point.
Exactly. So that premiered in April. It got better reviews overall than Dante's Peak did, except Roger Ebert, okay? Because he actually wrote, the ads say the coast is toast, but maybe they should say the volcano is Drano. This is a surprisingly cheesy disaster epic. It said that Volcano cost a lot more than Dante's Peak, a competing volcano movie released 2 months ago, but it doesn't look it. Dante's Peak had better special effects, a more entertaining story, and a real mountain.
None of those fake ass matte painting, science fair projects, volcanoes.
And so I'm like, I read that and I'm like, oh my God, Roger Ebert, you were totally spot on. Because honestly, I can't even remember if I saw Volcano, but I had to, because I do recall seeing Tommy Lee Jones and Anne Heche in a movie together. And since I think this is the only one that they were actually in ever together, it had to have been Volcano. But you haven't seen Volcano, have you?
No, I've only seen bits and pieces of Volcano. I just know it as that other Volcano movie of 1997. And it's weird because both movies, they made money, but they didn't do that well at the box office. They're both kind of flops. They didn't make back their budget, but clearly one of them is a bit more better remembered than the other.
Right, exactly. Because, if I had seen Volcano, maybe I saw it, I can't remember. It clearly didn't grab me the way that Dante's Peak has. And while I can't remember exactly when I did see Dante's Peak, I did not see it in the theater. That much I do remember. I'm guessing it was probably on HBO. HBO seems to be...
It always is.
Right? It seems to be my gateway. It is to this day a movie that stops my scroll. I will absolutely, if I'm scrolling through a streaming service, whatever they've got, if I'm scrolling through anything and I see Dante's Peak, boom. Okay, that's decided. I'm watching that. This is clearly, obviously, not Linda Hamilton's or Pierce Brosnan's best roles. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's not their best roles. But you know what, though? I really like them together.
Yeah, I'm surprised they hadn't done more movies together.
Right? I mean, they just had a certain chemistry to this one. But then again, who wouldn't want to ship Sarah Connor and James Bond, right? I mean, I'm not really sure what their ship name would be. Con Bond? I don't know what it would I don't know what it would be, but you just want to see, because let's be honest here, in the movies that they're basically known for, Terminator movies and James Bond, they don't exactly get rainbow, butterfly, happy endings, right?
Not really.
Right?
Well,
That's just not.
well, Bond.
Well, I mean, but we obviously see what ends up happening to him with the Daniel Craig Bond.
True. I guess it depends on the Bond.
But it's not like Pierce Brosnan's James Bond walks into the sunset and like spends the rest of his life with, the woman that he loves, right?
Well,
I
not
mean,
the rest of his life, yeah.
he saves the day, which is what they both do. They're both so, I've got to save the day that they don't actually get like really nice little happy endings. But in this one, in Dante's Peak, they actually do, or at least stay happy for now. They don't flash forward years down the road and, they're old and gray and they're sitting, in their rockers outside looking up at Dante's Peak, which hasn't erupted in like the last, 30 years and going, isn't that so lucky for us? We've had such a great life,
And then a
but
volcano blows up.
right. It
Like,
does
God
happen.
damn it.
Exactly. So, but we're happy for them. I mean, I'm happy for them at least that, they get to actually play characters who end up in sort of a happy ever after. Obviously, this is a slow burn movie, so to speak.
Boo.
I know, I'm sorry, but it definitely is. Are you suggesting, I mean, am I wrong? This is a slow burn.
It is. Takes like an hour for the volcano to blow up.
So we get like, the first hour or so, it's basically all narrative, right? I mean, it's setting the scene, it's introducing characters, it's making sure that the audience cares about the characters before the volcano just explodes and it all goes to hell in a handbasket. But you know what, though? I kind of liked that. I mean, because I think so often in these movies, we get these disaster kind of movies that shorthand everything at the very beginning. They've got stereotypical characters. Then they shorthand their relationships to each other. If it's a parent, child, then you've got like the child is upset with the parent.
Right. Like, oh, dad's never there for me. He's always working, or mom's never there for me. She's off doing this thing, keeping our family, well fed, living under a roof. I hate them, man.
Right.
And
Right.
then the parent has to like pull off some crazy stunt to save the kid from like collapsing rubble. And the kid's like, wow, my parents do care for me. And it's like, of course they do.
In addition to all of that, it also kind of shorthands like any sort of scientific gobbledygook,
Oh
right?
yeah, physics don't matter in disaster movies because that's boring. That's not realistic. We don't want to see a realistic disaster. We want to see lava tidal waves and like earthquakes eating up entire cities and people falling down the pits and like a whole bunch of other stuff. We want to see people surfing on like massive floods
Right.
and they're able to outrun the giant waves encompassing the city.
Exactly. So that, those 15 minutes, basically, right after the start of the movie, you've gotten everything that you need to know, apparently, about who these people are, the disaster that they're going to face, so that at that point, 15 minutes in, the volcano erupts, or the tsunami hits, or the earthquake quakes, or, whatever. So that the next hour and a half or so, you're focused on just like the survival of the characters. And it's like, okay, well, that's all well and good, but sometimes it helps to see a little bit more, get a little more insight into what's going on before you hit them with all of the disaster. And in this one, we get to see Pierce Brosnan's geologist, Harry Dalton. We get to see that he's thoughtful. He's devoted to his job. He overcomes a tragedy, right, that we see unfold during the opening credits when his volcano hunting partner, who he was going to ask to marry him, ends up dead when what was it? It was like a flying chunk of the volcano falls through
Yes,
the roof.
on her. Yeah, it just
Right.
collapses on her.
And then we see where Linda Hamilton's mayor, she's mayor of Dante's Peak, Rachel Wando, she was abandoned by her husband to raise their two kids by herself. So, needless to say, in the romance department, yeah, these people have all sorts of issues.
A lot.
A lot. So he obviously is the geologist who rides into town, takes a few samples from a spring, and declares that the volcano is going to blow. And as mayor, Linda Hamilton's character is like, what? Okay, so then it's like, we've got to get together the city council or the town council, because I don't think this is big enough for a city or a town. And so there's like, okay, we're going to get together the town council and we've got to explain what's going on. And she's like, oh my God. So we're calling a town council meeting. So Harry is in there explaining to them, don't panic, but the volcano might erupt at any moment. And they're all like, oh my God, oh my God. Then we get, Harry's boss. He scoots into town with a wait a minute, let's cool our jets. Let's not panic until we have more proof. And then he orders Brosnan to leave the town. Like, you need to get out of here because all you're doing is, bringing these people down. And you can't do that because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Okay, well, obviously, it wouldn't be much of a story if Harry Dalton actually left town. So he doesn't. He doesn't actually, spoiler, he doesn't actually leave town. Okay. He's hanging out. He decides, you know what? I'm going to wait this out because I'm going to have a big old I told you so right back at his boss because he knows what's coming.
And sure enough,
that's what ends up happening. But during this whole time that he is hanging out, even though he had orders that he had to leave, during this time, instead of just waiting around to say, I told you so, it also gives him a chance for him and the mayor to actually get a little closer. I mean, she brings him and the rest of the people that work at their like little setup station to monitor if, what's going on with Dante's Peak. She brings them all coffee in the morning because she's also the local barista, because apparently mayors it doesn't pay very much. She has to take on a side gig. She's got her side hustle as being the local barista. And eventually she invites him to dinner. And that, of course, is when everything heats up. And eventually the volcano does explode. It does erupt. And then, of course, the next hour of that is the duo running around trying to save their loved ones, because that's what Sarah Connor and James Bond do. They run around and save people. So they weren't too far off of their characters in this movie because that's what they were ended up doing. And I did want to just kind of point out too, before we dive a little bit deeper into Dante's Peak, because we are definitely diving a little bit deeper into it, is that Dante's Peak was produced by Universal Pictures. And they kind of started the whole disaster movies craze in the 70s with Airport in 1970. And then came all those airport sequels. There were a lot of airport sequels. Oh my God.
and then there came Airplane.
Right. Well, yes. That was
which is a response to all the airport movies.
Right. That was not a sequel.
No, it was a remake.
It was a remake. But they also had Jaws, right? That was also Universal. The Hindenburg, Poseidon Adventure, and Towering Inferno. So basically the 70s, if you were around in the 70s, you really got the impression that there was no place safe. No place is safe because you're either in a burning building, you run the risk of being in an earthquake, you don't go near an airport because something's going to happen. You also could not be on the water because between Jaws and Poseidon Adventure, you were not safe in a boat or just swimming. Well, the Hindenburg, that was kind of like not many people were riding around in blimps unless you were with the Goodyear blimp. But even that, so that really wasn't as bad. But yeah, I mean, so they just basically in the 70s, there was just the message was there's no place safe.
Now, I want to also sidetrack a bit to, okay, so the writer of the movie, Leslie Bohem, okay, what a weird little writing career he has. He started out doing horror movies before Dante's Peak.
Really?
He did the horror show, which is the third in this series called House. This had Lance Henriksen in it, and
Huh.
I believe as the late Brian James as the villain. He wrote Nightmare on Elm Street: The Dream Child, which I think is like the sixth movie in the series, often regarded as the weakest installment, which is really saying something. He also wrote Nowhere to Run, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie with Joe Esterhazy, I believe, the guy of Basic Instinct and Showgirls. Then after Dante's Peak, he wrote The Alamo, which was the Billy Bob Thornton
Oh,
movie
wow.
about the Alamo.
Yeah, that was good.
I think so just went off at that point. He just was abandoned to doing more obscure works. So it's just like, what a fascinating career. It's like The Dream Child, a Van Damme movie, The Alamo, and then Dante's Peak.
Right?
Couldn't say
Right?
this guy was pigeonholed or
No.
pigeonheld.
No, he wasn't. He definitely got to switch and do different genres, which I would think as a writer, that's one of the most exciting things you can do is that you get to go and do other things all the time. It's not the same thing over and over again.
So what is it about Dante's Peak that makes it a guilty pleasure for you? I mean, if the movie was, kind of well received, I mean, it has its, harsher critics, but what makes it like something that you're like, oh my God, I've got to watch it no matter the quality?
Because you know what? And I'll be interested to hear what you think of these scenes because Jackson saw this for the first time before we recorded this episode. I mean, I really loved the family dynamic. That was one of the things that I really enjoyed. Linda Hamilton invites him over for dinner. And after dinner, Brosnan's character, he sets up, the dominoes, like in a line, whatever that's called. And then Graham, the boy, kind of flicks the first one and it watches them go like tumble down, click, 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 click. I think that's the official sound of it. Click, 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 click is the sound. Right? Is how it goes. And the son was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then he does a magic trick for the daughter.
Right, with the
And
cards.
it comes across as almost like that, cheesy uncle, the one who's also really endearing. So it's not just like eye rolling, but it's someone who's like, oh my God, that's so cute. And I love you so much. You're so cool. So I really enjoyed that because it's those types of scenes that easily could have been deleted in any other
Exactly.
disaster movie. I mean, when the focus is on disaster, those little family scenes that really kind of get you feeling like you can feel the warmth coming from these characters. You can feel that Pierce Brosnan's character is starting to have, like a real fondness and affection for these kids, not just the mom, right? And these kids aren't your typical like obnoxious kids. I mean, they're sweet kids, which I thought was another thing that's interesting because in most of these cases, you've got like the kids that are fighting the mom and, all this kind of stuff, right? That's not really what it is here. I mean, of course they're young. So, I mean, it's not like they're teenagers. Maybe, wait for Dante's Peak, the teenage years. That might be a completely different story, but you got that they were a loving family, right? And so at the end, when Linda Hamilton and the kids are rescued, because you see the son come out of the cave first. Harry is like, Graham. And then both Graham and then the sister, I can't remember the sister's name. Anyway, they run over and he's like hugging the kids like they're his own. I mean, my God, but it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel phony. And then, of course, when Linda Hamilton comes out, she's leading the dog out. And then, she and, of course, Pierce Brosnan, they hug and then they kiss and everybody is like very happy and clapping and all this kind of stuff. And the kids got big smiles on their faces because, hello, mom's got a good guy here kind of thing. We like him. But it doesn't seem like it's all out of nowhere. It doesn't seem like it's tacked on. It doesn't seem like it's, well, we've got to have some sort of romantic interest and therefore we're going to just toss it together. And, of course, the grandma's sacrifice, that also gets me,
The granny sacrifice scene.
Here's the thing, in disaster movies, there's always a sacrifice. right? Somebody's got to be sacrificed in a disaster movie, right? Some sort of character. They're not necessarily the main characters because you can't have the main characters sacrifice themselves, otherwise you don't have a movie anymore. But they're enough of a side character that you hope that the audience is like, oh, they had to go. I mean, there's some sort of
Right.
like, sympathy there, and kind of ups the stakes. But, the grandma sacrifice in this one, I think, does that on like probably the best level that you could probably sacrifice somebody. Because when they're trying to escape in the boat and the acid in the water, because it's all like churned up with all of the boiling, whatever boils up when an earthquake, I mean, well, it is kind of a mini earthquake because earthquakes are then, show that there's going to be the volcano.
Yeah. In case it wasn't obvious enough, we are not scientists.
Right. We are not scientists at all. That is not what my PhD is in, let me tell you. But when the acid in the water is eating its way through the boat, right? And then the grandma jumps into the water and starts pulling the boat to shore. Now, obviously, it's acid eaten through her skin. And then she doesn't die right then. She dies in like a next scene after they've walked her a few miles down the road. And the grandma looks at Linda Hamilton and says, something to the effect of, my son was a fool to leave y'all. And those were like her last words. I don't know if she said y'all, but pretty close. She did.
Yeah, taking some artistic liberty.
Yes, this is how I remember it, or at least this is how I would have said it if it were me. But hopefully my son wouldn't be a fool to leave his family.
No, I won't.
Thank you. So I don't ever have to say that. But her son was, and she acknowledged it as like her last words. And it just kind of brings home the fact too that she did for that family what her son would never have done and didn't. And I think it just brings more emotional punch to that scene. That right there, I think, is some of the main reasons. Also, because I kind of like the fact that the visual effects, don't get me wrong, there are absolutely visual effects. I mean, there has to be. They didn't actually erupt a volcano. So, I mean, there has to be visual effects to this. And as a matter of fact, they actually drew in the volcano because there wasn't one in the town where they actually filmed this, which was in some small town in Idaho. But everything else was pretty much practical effects. And they built out that town. They came to this town, they built out the town a little bit more so they could destroy it. And they had ash, like they had like shredded so much paper to create the ash that blanketed this town. And it was just great that it was practical effects over just visual
CG.
effects.
Because it looks really good. I didn't know they actually had to like build this entire town. I mean, it makes sense. You can't just go to like some random small town and be like, "Hey, we're gonna destroy this entire thing for a movie, so y'all better move somewhere else so we can destroy all your homes."
Well, or just say, you know what? We'll just put all of this on the back lot at Universal.
Yeah, that could also work. We'll make a tiny little model and then blow it up.
So yeah. So were you glad that I forced you to see this movie?
I actually am. I'm glad I was finally able to watch it. And its biggest legacy at the moment is getting a verse in the Praz song Ghetto Superstar. There's a line where it's like, peak like Dante. And it's like, did you just not see the movie?
But see, that's great. That's why I chose this one as my guilty pleasure.
Very interesting. Very cool.
So, what did you choose? Because let me just set this up a little bit. You did not want me to actually see this movie ahead of time.
I did
So,
not.
so I am coming into this. I have no idea. All I know is the name of it, and I know nothing else about it. So, what's going on?
Oh yeah, my movie, my guilty pleasure is a movie that I'm just gonna say none of y'all have ever heard of this movie. The movie I will be talking about that is my biggest guilty pleasure at the moment is a movie called Crazed.
Alrighty. So that could go in so many different directions. What direction does this one go in?
Well, Crazed is a movie from 2014, but it actually came out a bit earlier than that because it debuted in 2012 at a film festival in somewhere in New England under the title Fury: The Tales of Ronan Pierce. But it was picked up by little distribution studio, Uncorked Entertainment, and was retitled Crazed. Set in the decrepit and corrupt Harbor City, the movie follows Ronan Pierce, who talks like Christian Bale's Batman for some reason. Ronan Pierce is a cop and a former soldier who tried to kill his fellow Marine Damian Logan after he attempts to rape a little girl. So he shoots him in the head, and that's it. But Pierce forgot the rule of double tapping because Logan survives to seek revenge, kidnapping Ronan's wife and having her tortured for years while also having his daughter raped and murdered. Ronan sets out to find his wife and put a stop to Logan, who currently runs the city's largest human and organ trafficking operation.
Wow.
I
mean, I'm
the
just
title
like,
doesn't lie.
that title does not lie. What was this? What was the original title though? Fury?
Fury, the tales of Ronan Pierce.
Yeah. I mean, I could see where both titles would work. I kind of, which one do you like better?
I think Crazed, because the Fury title sounds like almost like a comic book anthology, like a Sin City type. See, this for like
Mhm.
multiple stories told in like a comic, because it's called the Tales of Ronan Pierce. Like this is said to be like the first installment of 10 more movies about Ronan Pierce that have never come to be.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's a reason why. But first, before we get to that, I've got to find out. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit here. What he was a Marine? What was he again?
He was a soldier, and
Soldier,
then he
not a
became a
Marine.
cop.
Okay, so he's a soldier where he killed another soldier who was in the act of raping a woman.
Right. Well, he takes her out to like he's about to kill her, do something naughty with her. Then Ronan's like, Logan, stop doing that. And Logan's like, I'm not going to stop. P.S. You're going to kill me, said this little girl. And then Pierce is like, I'm going to kill you. And then he shoots him.
Okay, okay, but like you said, he does not follow
The
double tap.
Zombieland rules.
Hello. I mean,
Make sure they're dead.
yes, you've got to double tap. Come on. Did we learn nothing from Zombieland? So the bad guy lives somehow, but he's not a zombie as he's living, right? I mean, he's like supposed to be an actual human being.
Right. He just gets shot in the head and he survives, which is a real thing. But for this, it's like, it was clearly in the head.
And was it like in the center of the head?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I think that's a little harder to come back from.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think once they shoot you like solid in the middle of the head, I think that means that you're a goner. Somehow he survives that, and he's not, but not as a zombie, as a human being.
Somehow Logan returned.
Right. And so he returns. Where is he? Is this in New York City? What city is this in?
Harbor City. It's a fictional city that was shot somewhere around like the New York area. Well, not New
Okay.
York, but definitely like the New England area.
Okay. So he is a cop in this city. Then the bad guy finds him there somehow.
Right, finds them, and yeah, he's able to find them, have his daughter raped and murdered by his associates, who, okay, this movie is wild because there's a lot of different villains. Because there's Logan, who's like the big bad, he's the personal villain. Then he got his sidekick, Lucas Lotto, who's this like British dude who is not only a pedophile, he's also a artist who loves killing women and using their blood to paint pictures while listening to like opera music.
Okay.
And then so
wow.
so Logan's involved in the human trafficking portion because the ultimate villain is Silva, I think his name is. It's this Mexican dude that we never see, we never hear from him. He's like the big head honcho of the city. He controls everything, and Logan just runs his human trafficking operation. He does the dirty work for him.
So do you think that they were
Hector
setting it
Luna,
up?
Hector Luna, that's the big guy's name. I think they were, because it ends on a like, and the adventure continues type of ending, where it's like, Hector Luna's still out there. I'm gonna pay him back for what he's done to the city.
Okay, so it's not personal grudge that he's got against Hector. Now he's got cop hat on.
Because again, it's not just human trafficking, it's also organ trafficking, because it turns into a horror movie when this guy, the Mad Doctor, who's just like looks like a homeless guy. He's like this schlubby dude with like a lab coat on. He employs creepy homeless people to kidnap people. And what he does is he wraps these people in ceramic wrap. He injects them with a serum that prevents them from screaming. They're totally paralyzed as he just casually harvests the organs while his victims are still alive, and they can't do anything about it. And he's like humming like Mary Had a Little Lamb and like other stuff, was casually just pulling the organs out. I was like, what? Why is this a horror movie now? This is like honestly pretty scary.
Oh my God. I'm guessing this didn't get a PG rating.
No.
Oh my God. That is that's crazy. That is crazed. Let me just say that is crazed. So maybe that is the better title for it.
Crazed E.
Right. Crazed E, because that is nutcake. I mean, so basically then you've got the daughter, his daughter is raped and murdered. The wife, what happens to her again?
She's just kidnapped for 7 years. She's been tortured, and Logan keeps sending Ronan like VHS tapes, not VHS tapes, like DVDs of her tortures just to taunt him. And Ronan's like, one day I'm gonna find my wife, and then it takes like a few hours to find her. And it's like, why did it take you this long just to find her, dude? It's like 7 years. Holy
Okay, because
shit.
he can't be much of a cop if he can't track down because I mean, come on. I mean, because I assume that he's got her, the bad guys got her holed away in Harbor City somewhere, right? I mean,
Right.
it's
It's
not
in the
like,
city.
yeah. So, I mean, Ronan can't figure this out after 7 years. How does that
Right.
work?
It's not like she's in like Utah or something.
Right, cross country, and he has to like go on a trip to figure out where she is, and it's got like maybe it's a scavenger hunt, and there's like little pieces along the way that that he's trying to lure him to, which I think that sounds actually kind of maybe even better script as like a scavenger hunt trying to find his wife across the United States. Okay, so I have to ask them, because here's the thing: when we decided to do this guilty pleasure episode, right, I mean, we both went immediately to our movies. We knew immediately which ones we were going to do. I was going to do Dante's Peak and you were going to do Crazed. So I have to ask here, when was it in that first viewing that you had of Crazed that had you like, oh my God, I have to see this over and over again?
I think it was the fact that it's a, like, don't get me wrong, it's an objectively bad movie. Like, just putting that out there. I'm not like trying to be like, oh, this is the greatest movie ever made. No one knows of it. Objectively, it's not good. I mean, it looks cheap. It's not shot very well. It looks gross. Like, everything's all grimy and murky and stuff. And there's some like amateurish filmmaking here. Like, there are times where there are some action scenes that
No.
are there's some action scenes that are like sped up, like some scenes are just like, oh, we're going fast forward here. And I don't know if that was like a stylistic choice or if in editing they're like, this is taking too long, let's just speed this up because it looks good, or like we're bored. So it's not that good a movie. But what I can really enjoy from this is the fact that there's clearly a lot of passion put into this, because this is very much a vanity project from the minds of the McCarthy brothers. So specifically, Kevin A. McCarthy, he had to wear a lot of hats for this movie because he was, let me see if I got this right. He directed a majority of the movie with his friend Edward Payson, who actually is a B director. Kevin also co-wrote it with his brother Michael, who also stars in it as Ronan Pierce. Kevin also co-produced it, edited it. He did art direction for it. He was one of the sound designers. He worked on colors for these like graphic novel scenes. Because there were times in the movie where it looked like a comic book panel. So he did those. He also was a music editor and he was a DP for reshoots. So he did a
My
lot
God.
for the movie. And his wife, Lauren, well, then fiance, but his wife now was also a wardrobe supervisor and she worked on some of the special effects. And other members of the family were executive producers because there was a lot of McCarthy names in the end credits.
So
So
third cousins, twice removed.
yeah,
They
I got
were
my
all
dad who produced, executive produced, my grandpa, my mom, my sister.
right. Oh my
So
gosh.
this is their first movie. I think Kevin did work on like some other B horror movie, but this is like definitely his first movie with him and his brother Michael. Yeah, they both worked on this together. This is both their brainchild. And according to the IMDb plot synopsis, which even though it says it's written by Anonymous, it's obviously written by them. it said that it was inspired by our favorite dark and twisted graphic novels, which I can very much see in this. There's a lot of like Punisher vibes
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
because Ronan's like a vigilante cop who's like out for personal revenge against these criminals in this like corrupt city. And there's a lot of work put in the movie as well. I mean, I say it's like poorly done and cheap, but they clearly spent money on this movie because again, there's a lot of people working on it. And what I also like is that I feel like despite the fact that the movie is crazy, it's all weird and all that, the people making it didn't take it that seriously. Because again, you heard the plot synopsis. It's a movie
Right.
with so much going on, and it's acted like a Saturday morning cartoon because everybody's just like over the top. And what's weird is that there's a behind the scenes video by one of the movie stunt coordinators, Raven Armando Asane. Raven also has a small role in the movie, so he gets to also wear two hats. And the video is him and his crew. They're doing stuff for the movie, but it also just show him just fucking around, having fun, playing pranks and all that. So they were having a good time. And Michael McCarthy even mentioned on a tweet a long time ago that it's a movie to watch with your friends as you crack a few beers open. And you know what? I can agree. It's a movie you watch with your buds, preferably drunk, as you witness just how odd it is, just how insane it gets. Now, if this had come out earlier, like late 2000s, early 2010s, it totally could have been one of those rental cult hits where you
Right.
pick a random movie gathering dust at the Blockbuster or a local video store to rent because it had a cool cover or the plot synopsis on the back looks the least promising. And obviously, you know it's not going to be a good movie, but you can tell that
Right.
I'm going to have some enjoyment out of this movie, some fun.
But since it came out in 2014, 2012, 2014, those days are long gone. I'm just kind of curious because, you know, you're a screenwriter. So,
Yes.
how would you have changed some of the scenes or the plot points? Or do you just feel that this movie is perfectly imperfect and that's the way you like it?
You know, it's weird because this is very much a modern day grindhouse movie because that's what it is. It's very cheap. There's a lot of like nudity, gore. It's a ridiculous story where no subtlety whatsoever. Again, the villains are like literally like child raping monsters.
Right.
They're awful.
No
And
gray, no gray here. No morally
not
gray. They are flat out
yeah, no more
evil.
complexities to these villains. They're not nice people in the slightest. But I think it's fine as is, because again, these brothers set up to make the type of movie they wanted to make, and they made it. You can also say the same for like, Machete. Like I love Machete, but that's the movie Robert Rodriguez wanted to make. He did not want to make a intelligent, coherent, and smart movie. He just wanted to make an exploitation movie, a total grindhouse pastiche comprised of dark humor, gore, got some nudity, violence, and just very over the top humor. Obviously, Crazed is not Machete. It's not as competent as Machete.
Right, right. So you're not like in any way comparing the two on a same level.
Right, because Machete was calculated in its crappiness. Like Rodriguez literally set out to like set up plot lines that were dropped because that's what those old movies did. Like he very much was like very attentive to what he was doing while making Machete. Because again, with
Very
movies like this, you can
deliberative.
right, very deliberative. Because a lot of these movies, I feel people are like, well, we're making an intentionally crappy movie and we have an excuse to be terrible. It's like, no, you don't get to do that. You get to do what Rodriguez does. So, like, what he and Tarantino did with the Grindhouse double feature with
Mhm.
like Planet Terror and Death Proof, where it's like they're still trying to make competent movies with like fun stories and characters. They're just creating these movies in a way that mirrors an old level of low budget filmmaking. Oh, I also want to point out too that the soundtrack is weird for Craze. It's like a lot of like crappy dubstep music. That's it. The theme song that plays over the credits, I cannot get that out of my head. And I sadly cannot find it on YouTube anywhere. YouTube,
Ah.
SoundCloud, nothing. I'm like, guys, you can't just make music for a movie no one's gonna see and then like disappear. Put it up somewhere. Bandcamp? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Also, this is one of those low budget sleaze movies where it has like a bunch of like big name B talent from like other horror movies who show up for a few seconds and then they are killed off. just so we can be like, whoa, that person's in the movie. I guess for distributors to be like, oh, well, this person's in it. Now we can sell it in like Italy or like Germany because there's a following over there, or like
Right.
Cuba. Because this movie has cameos by Kane Hodder, who is known for playing Jason Voorhees
Yeah.
in Friday the
I was just
13th,
I was
7
gonna
through
say I was
10.
gonna say even
Sorry,
that's a
7 through
name I
X.
know. I mean, even that's a
Right.
name I know. So absolutely.
Oh, and Kane's a great guy, and he's also one of the movie's executive producers. So he's in it, and also R.A. Mihailov, I think that's how you say his name. He was Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3, and he has a cameo as like this ship captain dude who looks like a Robert Shaw from Jaws. He's like also like a human trafficker or whatever. Because there's this subplot where Ronan kills him. He saves one of the girls who sort of becomes this like sidekick. And she's like this weird clown girl because she like
She dresses like a clown or she just
no,
acts like a clown?
she looks like someone normal. And later on she like puts on like creepy clown makeup on her face. And she starts like giggling to herself. And it's like first off, her clown makeup looks like something out of Kiss. It's like black and white and all that stuff. And she's like, and I'm like, is she like Kiss Harley Quinn or
I know.
something? What's the purpose of
Oh my
this?
God. Oh my, and Ronan doesn't kick her to the curb when that happens?
No, he saves her and gives her a home because he's a gentleman like that.
Oh, well, that's sweet and everything. So go ahead, finish up because then I've got another question.
Oh no, no, you go.
Okay, well, I was just curious. Again, I mean, I hate to like spoil the ending, but so does Ronan's wife actually survive or is she eventually killed?
Oh no, she survives.
Okay. So now then it makes sense that maybe they bring the creepy clown kid into the family to kind of replace the daughter
Well,
that was murdered.
actually, I say clown girl. I meant to say clown woman. She's like 20 something years
Oh,
old.
I don't think the wife would be appreciative of her coming in.
Honey, I want to adopt this clown woman.
Like, no,
She be
I
a
don't.
replacement for a daughter.
I don't see the wife being okay with that. So, okay, so she's not a kid. Oh my God. She's 27.
20 something. There's no age.
Oh,
Clearly
okay.
she's not a kid. I'm just saying that.
Okay. Okay. So then is she still part of that little unit once Ronan gets the wife back?
Oh yeah, because it ends with Ronan and Clown Woman killing that doctor, the organ harvester guy, because as if the movie's like, hold on, we didn't forget about him. Because the Clown Woman, disguised as a doctor, she's facing him from her back. I was like, hey lady, what's going on? Turns around, clown face, jabs him with his serum that paralyzes people. And then Ronan shows up and it's like, hey doctor, my liver's not doing well. And then pulls like a hacksaw. He's about to saw the doctor's organs out, and then end credits.
So that's how it ends.
Yes.
Okay. Like, oh my God. This sounds like an interesting story. What makes this a guilty pleasure for you?
What makes this a guilty pleasure for me is that, yes, it's a bad movie. The 3.7 rating it has on IMDb is kind of warranted. But as someone who wants to make movies, like myself, I honestly like how earnest this movie was in its filmmaking. Because for a pair of brothers who somehow, some way managed to scrounge up enough money for a feature length movie. This movie is like an hour and 38 minutes, I want to
What?
say. Yeah, an hour 38. This is not a short film. This isn't like, oh, an hour 10. It's an hour 38. They got enough for that. And they got a full cast, a full crew. Obviously, again, the director had to wear a lot of like hats for this movie, but I can really see the passion they put into this project. And it's not annoying. A lot of vanity projects like this tend to be very annoying. Like, oh, I'm casting someone I know in the lead. It's like self-indulgent, or like we're trying so hard to emulate and replicate stuff we like. We can't comprehend how or why they worked. Now, I know there are way better movies that have done much more with much less. Like Clerks, Kevin Smith's first movie. That's a way better film, despite it
Oh,
being made on a far lower budget with just as much inexperience in movie making and movie production. Like Kevin Smith basically had to learn how to make movies while he was making that movie.
oh no, that's a great movie, by the way.
Honestly, I would love if the McCarthy brothers were able to scrounge up more money to make another movie. Anything. any movie. Another weird thing is that on the IMDb page, for ages, they've had this one movie in pre-production that's called Nazi Apocalypse. And from the plot synopsis, it would involve white supremacist vampires and a bunch of other weird stuff. It would have been able to provide the same experience as Crazed on a probably far larger scale. Probably not. That's the magic of low budget filmmaking, so you can make anything look larger if you have good green screen and computer graphics.
Right.
I just want to see them take another crack at it because they're kind of like Trauma, and that they made this crappy movie that has some heart to it. They know that it's a crappy movie because, I mean, you look at it and you go, this is a crappy movie. Sometimes you can try to make crap look like gold, and sometimes it can work, sometimes it can't. To me, it was able to work because it has a lot of, some cool stuff, some weird stuff. It's a movie that after I watched it, I couldn't forget it. And that's still better than a lot of like bigger budgeted movies.
Exactly.
And to quote one negative review on Rotten Tomatoes, the only review on
just
Rotten
one.
Tomatoes, the only one,
Oh,
the movie's a bloody mess. And that's why I have fun with it.
there you go. And I think that becomes the reason why we continue to watch these guilty pleasures, because we all have certain movies that there's no rhyme or reason for why we just are drawn to them, but we are. They're the ones that, again, kind of stop our scroll. And I think in a similar way, Dante's Peak had heart for me. Right? I mean, it just kind of speaks to you in a way that goes beyond what the actual movie is about. That I think is almost by definition, that's what a guilty pleasure is.
And on that note, thanks for joining us today, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review.
And as always, you can head over to talkingmovieswithmymom.com to sign up to our email list, as well as check out all the links and resources from today's episode in the show notes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.